What we want to do differently in the next strategy cycle, which is 25 to 30, is that we want to buy plots and we want to build our own warehouses. We have a global program called Real Estate Solution, RES. Under that program, we actually buy land in many countries outside of India. We then build large campuses where we are able to even raise the game. And I think that would be a kind of a change for us, where we are looking at buying land and building our own warehouses as well.
Contract logistics plays a very crucial role in the global supply chains because it allows manufacturers and shippers to outsource their complex warehousing and transportation and value-added services to a specialist logistics company. In India, with the increase in the manufacturing, e-commerce and retail, contract logistics has become very, very important right now. As a global player, DHL Supply Chain plays a very crucial role in this place, and they make sure to simplify the warehousing, logistics, and transportation for many of the manufacturers, and including in India, they have big operations. In fact, today they have announced a 1 billion euros investment plan for India, and half of that is going into DHL Supply Chain. Hi all, thank you so much for joining. This is Libin Chacko Kurian from the Stat Publishing Group. We are here in Mumbai in the DHL office. Joining me right now is the Managing Director for DHL Supply Chain, Mr. Vikas Anand. Vikas, hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Wonderful, nice to be with you.
Let's start by talking about the announcement that you made today. The group is announcing that is going to invest 1 billion euros till 2030, but in the past, in 2022, DHL Supply Chain specifically announced 500 million euros investment in India for the next 5 years. So give us an idea about what is the update on that investment and why there is a new investment coming in, and with the focus of DHL Supply Chain specifically. Half of it is going into DHL Supply Chain. Give us an idea about what is the focus, and is there an increased focus on the contract logistics part?
Thank you for that. I think when you talk about a billion, I think it's very, very clear that the DHL Group as a group has India as a focus market, and therefore the billion euros go across the business units into India. So there are two parts to your question. One is around the previous investments and the current investments. When you look at, for us, when we made the last announcement, our strategy cycle of 21 to 25, we called it Indigo 4.0, Grow India. And now we are going into a strategy cycle of 2030, which is 2025 to 2030. So what we have done since 2021, when we started making these investments and the announcements were done in 22, as I told during the press conference as well, that the investments are done in 4 or 5 key big buckets. So one of the key things that we did as a change was to decentralize India. So in the year 2021, we went ahead with the program to decentralize the country into 3 large regions. And therefore, we appointed, VPs who were SBU heads for these 3 regions. We created a very, very large team of solution designers, business development, key accounts people. And therefore, we have now, the intention of being decentralized was to be closer to the customers. And India is a very, very large market. And sometimes there are regional nuances and we wanted to build the business. So the first big part was investing in people. The second part was, I talked about our appetite to build multi-client sites. So what we are doing now is that we are building sites which are multi-client in nature, which are built proactively. So a lot of time the logistics company would build a site which is dedicated to a customer. And what we do as a change is that we proactively build sites in key cities, and we have been adding about 2 million square feet of space. So just to give you a perspective, we were about 9 million square feet when we started this program in 21, and now we are at 20 million square feet. So we've added more than 2 million square feet every year. To put it into context, this year the addition has been more than 3 million square feet. So I would say that with 20 million square feet of footprint today, we would have one of the largest footprint for a true blue 3PL in India. So that's the second part of investment. The third big chunk is capex. So the capital that we invest, most of these buildings are 12 meter high, as I said, 10 meters on the eaves, 6 tons of flooring load, and therefore we are going vertical, and therefore G+4, G+5. So all the capex that goes in, or the restructs, equipment, etc., is all part of the investment. The other big bucket on investment is automation. So I think the difference between the past and the future would be, though we have done investments in automation in India in the last 2-3 years, but in the next strategy cycle, the investment in automation will even be more. I think we have made a promise to ourselves that every new customer that comes on board, we will have an element of automation. So I think if you look at the overall labor cost in India, it is pretty low. But I think the promise we have made to ourselves is every solution should have automation built in. And I think we are finding partners in India with frugal automation, we can make it happen. And then the investments in sustainability, we have to do that. And then the new strategy cycle, 25 to 30, and the new investments, I think that will be a big chunk. As I said, most of the warehouses will have solar panels. We want to get into electric. We want to ensure that we are sustainable. So I think these are the big chunks of investment that have gone. And I think what we want to do differently in the next strategy cycle, which is 25 to 30, is that in addition to, we want to buy plots and we want to build our own warehouses. We have a global program called Real Estate Solution, RES. Under that program, we actually buy land in many countries outside of India. We then build large campuses where we are able to even raise the game. And I think that would be a kind of a change for us, where we are looking at buying land and building our own warehouses as well.
You have been very emphatic about the warehousing part. In fact, the press conference was also very emphatic about the warehousing part. Give us an idea about what is the footprint that you're looking into maybe by 2030, by the end of this strategy cycle. And what is the kind of innovations that you're trying to do? Because you mentioned some of them inside the warehouse, for example.
So I think we are saying that we want to add a minimum of 2 million square feet every year, which sometimes is the size of a small logistics company. You understand? I think the intention is right now, there are a lot of investments in the metros. And I think we are in 40 cities in India and growing. But I think the intention is to look at also, I think under the Make in India program, there will be many cities which will come up. Dholera, for example, Guwahati, for example. I just picked up two names because this is where a lot of semicon investment is going, and a lot of tech will go there, and therefore what can we do more? So there would be micro markets where the industry is going, and we want to go there proactively. So that's one part of it. So I think to answer your question, two things. One is the fact that we want to add a minimum of 2 million square feet every year and get into also areas and be closer to the industry where the investments are happening in India. So that's one part. I think what changes for us is when you look at the new, when we look at managing data centers or managing semiconductors, I think we have a very large technology business in India. The kind of infrastructure that we want to set up for those businesses would be a bit different. If we want to manage EVs, we want to manage batteries. So I think you would need infrastructure where the investments will go into those infrastructure. If you want to look at, say, movement of semicon in India, you may need the trucks with the air ride, for example, so that when the equipment is moving, the trucks are more stable. You may need, very, operation theater environment, clean rooms within the warehouse, and these are large investments that you need to do. So I think these are so the investments will go into this futuristic elements of managing semicon, EVs, batteries, data center equipment. So that's a large chunk. And the other one will go into pure automation.
Okay, thanks for that. You mentioned the planning to own land in India. Any particular focus, any geographic focus, metros, anything that you have in your mind?
Yeah, I think the initial focus will continue to be Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, NCR region, Pune. I think these are very well-developed industrial clusters where please understand, when you build these campuses, you need scale in these campuses. You don't want them to be small. And I think so our first target is to look at, these 5 large cities and build a campus. I think so that's from a name perspective, that could be one. And I think we could surprise ourselves by building it in a place where suddenly it emerges as the next hub for manufacturing. And I think we are very creative from that perspective. So there are thoughts that we have. I believe in the next 5 years, the ecosystem in India will change, and there are new markets that would come up. And we want to be the first one into those markets. When I named Dholera or Guwahati, Coimbatore, the places where a lot of investment could go, but we don't know, So I think that what we know is that the metros are somewhere we want to do, but I think where the future investment by the industry will be done, we'll proactively go there as well.
Okay, as heading the contract logistic business of DHL Group, you have to provide very specialized solutions for your clients, and you have focused on some of the particular industries. One of them is pharma, the life science healthcare sector. Give us an idea about, what is your focus over there? Which are the industries that you are looking into? Where you're seeing growth right now? E-commerce, what is happening over there?
I think if you look at us as a company, we are a quality player, and I think that's what we always say. I think DHL should stand for quality. And I think we really walk the talk around it. We have a global program called First Choice. And within that First Choice program, within supply chain, we have a program called OMS, Operations Management System. And when you come to our warehouses, you will see the investment that we have done in OMS is about 12 elements and 4 principles. It's about your ability to do a performance dialogue well. How are you managing your customer escalation? How are you rewarding your people? How is your escalation mechanism? And these elements, how are you doing your labor planning? How are you doing your productivity? And when we have those performance dialogues and discussions on the floor, I think that's what really makes a difference. So the point is that when we have such programs, we have excellent schools on the floor. So if you come to our warehouse, you will find an excellent school on the floor where we are training men and women about how to run a warehouse, what does product mean, what does productivity mean, what is good, bad, and ugly, clean, simple things in life. So I think from that perspective, there's a lot of rigor. We also have the smarts in terms of a very large army of industrial engineers who have an ability to use global tools to create very slick solutions, network optimization, solutions like that. So therefore, when you look at the kind of foundation we have with the focus on safety, compliance, digitization, sectors like pharma come very naturally for us. So I think it's a very large business for us, and therefore we are. I think that when you break pharma and life sciences, it could be medical devices is pretty large, pure pharma is pretty large, gene and cell therapy, clinical trials. There are various elements to it. And I think that's the area for growth for us.
Can you elaborate a bit more about the pharma sector, particularly because you have been emphatic about it, and that's what you spoke in the conference a little while ago. Give us an idea about what you are expecting from the Indian market.
So what we have changed is, I think we said that we inaugurated a Life Sciences Excellence Center near Bhiwandi, which is a large 150,000 square feet. What we have done is, I think there are two ways of growing the business, as I said. You can build a warehouse and a solution which is dedicated to a customer. So you win a large RFQ, you build a dedicated solution for a pharma customer, which is dedicated and which is bespoke to a customer. What we have done in Life Sciences Excellence Centers is about creating and proactively investing in a very, very large box, which will provide value-added solutions as a standard service. Okay, so you can come and have value-added services like overprinting, packaging, reboxing, repackaging, and all those services will be provided as standard. But then we can also provide within that bespoke services if a customer wants a very specific temperature gain. You want to work in ambient, no problem. So understand, this is the difference between the difference is about going ahead of the curve and investing, and also the other difference is that the investment in the data layer that we have brought in, which is LifeTrack, would mean that a customer would be able to use the services of all the 4 DHL BUs, which is DHL Express, India, Global Forwarding, Supply Chain, and Blue Dart. And seamlessly, we will be able to provide information to the customer's cargo when it moves from one BU to the other. So if a customer has booked a cargo on DHL Express, it is in air, and the warehousing is in India, and the last mile is done by Blue Dart, we will be able to seamlessly give total information end to end. So you understand, so the game changes substantially in terms of providing first-class data visibility to customers.
Okay, you said pharma comes very naturally to the company, but you have other companies that you cater to, like automobility.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So give us an idea about the mix, particularly in the sense, is there any change in that mix because of the new strategies?
I think absolutely. I think pharma is a focus, but I think we are very large in technology. We're very, very large technology customers whom we provide services on finished goods and service logistics side. So there are the world's the largest technology companies. E-com and retail is a very, very large business for us. When I talk about e-commerce, we have actually bespoke solution where we have very large brands. If you happen to go to a mall, you will find there are so many brands where DHL would do warehousing and last mile distribution into the mall. Okay, there are so many of them, and therefore mall delivery and fashion retail is a very large business for us. On the e-commerce side, we have actually now set up fulfillment centers, which is under the aegis called DHL Fulfilment Network, where a small and medium enterprise business B2B, B2C customers who are or D2C customers, direct to consumer customers who want to really use fulfillment and our services. So I think e-commerce is within e-commerce, DHL Fulfillment Network is a big theme. Engineering and manufacturing, I think we want to be the service provider of choice for factories in India, and therefore engineering and manufacturing. When you look at all the big factories coming up for E&M, I think that's a big theme for us. So I think it is across various sectors that we play, but technology and e-commerce and fashion retail are the two largest ones. Pretty much engineering, manufacturing, auto as a sector pretty large, life sciences pretty large. Then I think so. These are the key sectors in which we play.
Interesting to see about the brands trusting DHL. In fact, I have also read some of the case studies that you have put out, like how you supported the one of the Chinese mobile brand in expanding in India, and also a global fashion brand. What makes DHL as the preferred choice?
I think we want to make our customers successful. I think that's the theme. So when we see, the point is that when we discover about supply chain, what the CEOs want to hear is, how can we help them grow? Now, how can we help a customer grow? I think it's not about supply chain cost. It's about lost sale. That's my personal view. How much sale is lost because the product was not on the shelf is what we want to measure. And once you measure it, we want to make a promise to our customer that we will see that if we measure that KPI, we'll create programs where obviously the how much to stock is a customer's prerogative, right? Sometimes you lose sale because you don't have stock, but most of the time you lose sale because the stock is in the wrong location. How can we really help? How can we really forecast? How can we really predict? I think that's the conversation we are having with the CEOs, and they love it. And that's what I think. We are not saying that we will give you, we will, we are basically, our proposition is that we will enable you to grow and we will enable you to sell more, because we'll somehow ensure that the right inventory is in the right place. Though you may decide how much to order and how much to stock, but we can help you to place the inventory if you want to place it in multiple cities in India. And we have the tools and the systems that make it happen.
One last question. Since you deal with the contract logistics and you deal with your clients very closely, you also deal with value-added services. You give that packaging. So give us an idea about how the sustainability angle for many of your clients are turning out and how you contribute to that.
No, very good question. I think, let me give you an example. In 24 and 25, we have had great success in re-export packaging for E&M industry. So what is happening is there are a lot of E&M manufacturers in India who would export kits, either as CKD or parts, to their plants across the world. And what we are trying to do is eliminate packaging material and create more sustainable, recyclable packaging material in large numbers there. So I think re-export, and that's a very, very, as India becomes a global powerhouse for manufacturing, for Make in India and for export to the globe, I think re-export packaging and the ability to create sustainable packaging and ability to stuff a container to its max by using digital tools would be something that we have done very successfully in 24 and 25, but more to happen.
Vikas, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Thanks a lot.